The hypocrisy and lawlessness you're about to see is mind-boggling even by Donald Trump standards. His war on drugs has been paused to forgive one of the world's most notorious drug czars, a man who ruled a country while managing and profiting from the illegal drugs that flowed through it, but a DOJ insider is sounding the alarm over Trump's lawless act and has a powerful call to action for the American people. Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome to another Occupy Democrats Report. And be sure and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our coverage on Trump's chaos and corruption. And now for today's daily dose of his dereliction of duty. Former president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, is the man who has somehow made it to Trump's Mount Rushmore of criminal faces that needs his unique brand of protection. Let's get you up to speed on the developing story, including Trump's own words trying to justify it, and then I'll have the stunner from the Department of Justice insider.
President Trump said he plans to pardon the former leader of Honduras, who was found guilty last year of conspiring to import cocaine into the U.S. Former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez was convicted by a U.S. jury for drug trafficking and weapons charges, with prosecutors accusing him of taking bribes from the notorious drug cartel leader known as El Chapo. Hernandez was sentenced to 45 years in prison and has been serving time in a West Virginia prison. President Trump wrote on social media that Hernandez had been, quote, treated very harshly and unfairly.
Mr. You've made so clear how you want to keep drugs out of the U.S.
Right.
Can you explain more about why you would pardon a notorious drug trafficker?
Well, I don't know who you're talking about. Which
Juan Orlando Hernandez.
Well, I was asked by Honduras, many of the people of Honduras, they said it was a Biden setup. I don't mean Biden. Look, Biden didn't know he was alive, but it was the people that surround the Resolute desk, surround Biden when he was there, which was about very little time. And the people of Honduras really thought he was set up, and it was a terrible thing. He was the president of the country, and they basically said he was a drug dealer because he was the president of the country. And they said it was a Biden administration setup. And I looked at the facts, and I agreed with them.
Let's review that idiocy. I don't know what you're talking about, but it was the people of a third world country who told me it's Joe Biden's fault. There is not a world where any of that makes sense, but we do have a former Justice Department pardon attorney to make sense of how egregious Trump's act is, considering how egregious Hernandez's crimes were.
Donald Trump just announced that he's pardoning one of the largest foreign drug traffickers in the world. For lack of a better word, this is insane. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. Juan Orlando Hernandez is the former president of Honduras, a country of about 10 million people in Central America. During his presidency, Hernandez turned Honduras into a narco state, meaning the government itself worked in partnership with drug traffickers to export drugs around the world. Hernandez took millions of dollars of bribes from major international drug traffickers. He partnered with cartels, including the Sinaloa cartel. He even took $1 million bribe from El Chapo himself. In exchange, Hernandez used his police and military forces to protect these drug traffickers, including using violence when necessary. Under his leadership, Honduras became one of the most violent and most corrupt places on earth. It also became one of the largest export points for cocaine shipments to the United States. In total, Hernandez was responsible for sending 400 tons of cocaine to the U.S. That's billions of individual doses of drugs. Hernandez was extradited to the U.S. to face trial. In 2024, he was convicted by a jury and sentenced to 45 years in prison, plus an $8 million fine. He was also ordered to forfeit over $15 million in drug proceeds. His conviction and sentencing was the result of over a decade of work by U.S. law enforcement and national security professionals. And then Donald Trump just wiped it all out in an instant with a pardon. Why did Trump do this? No one knows. Trump is supposedly so concerned about drug trafficking that he is literally blowing boats out of the water. So it makes no sense that he would set this guy free unless there's something in it for him. Once again, Trump is putting his own interests ahead of the interests of the American people. His pardons are growing more and more dangerous and corrupt. Please help sound the alarm by sharing this information and by asking your elected reps to demand accountability for presidential pardons.
Consider the alarm sounded and shared to our 1.6 million subscribers, and thank you for exposing Trump's corruption and blatant hypocrisy. On one hand, he issues orders to blow up suspected drug boats in Venezuela, executing those on board without due process. And on the other, he frees a man who is convicted in the United States court. This is the Trump world we live in. Donald Trump is usually motivated by personal gain, as was evident by his recent pardon of a cryptocurrency felon who contributed to his family fortune. So we have to ask, what's in it for him this time? Or is he just freeing bad guys that he identifies with again? I don't know if the phrase criminal empathy exists, but it should to describe his deep emotional connection to people like Hernandez.